Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Grown Man Clash, and tonight I want to talk about a topic that's been going on, over the span of a few days or a few hours, depending on how the way you look at it. And that topic is the topic of, what's going on with the NFL. And, if you know about the situation with Colin Kaepernick, and and if you know me, I stand with him and I respect what he's doing, especially when he took the protest. And he was along the leagues of Muhammad Ali. He was even willing to give up his title just for the sake of standing up for the right thing. So, as Jesse Ventura would say, I salute Colin Kaepernick. I may not be a U.S. veteran, but I do salute him. I may not be a veteran in general, but I do salute him because you want to know what he's doing? He's a man of his principles. He's doing the right thing. And the fact that he got this chump, Donald Trump, yeah, Trump the chump, got him quaking in his boots, talking about like, man, tell that son of a bitch that he should not be doing that. I'm like, get the fuck out of my face. Now, back on to what's going on with the NFL boycott. And, like, why is it like an ongoing issue, but yet really it's been going on for a long time if you really think about it. But back onto the NFL. And some of the players even talked about how the way, the NFL, it's not really integrated, it's segregated. It has the mask of integration, but really it's segregated. But the catalyst that not started it all, but brought the problems to the forefront, even though he was mainly talking about what's going on with police brutality, unequal equality. That's an unequal equality. I know that's a bit of an oxymoron right then and there. But you catch my drift. Colin Kaepernick was standing up for something. He was protesting against police brutality, unequal treatment, and just overall what's going on in America, as opposed to just disrespecting the national anthem. And even when the national anthem was created back in like 1814, black people were not free. Native Americans, if I remember correctly, didn't they go through like the Trial of Tears or something? And even then, even when the national anthem was created, the whole Star Spangled Banner, man, honestly, the whole lyrics are hypocritical if you think about it. Amazing Grace, hypocritical. And if you look at what's going on now and what's going on in the NFL, you realize that this is really nothing new. This is really nothing new because, truth be told, this has been going on for years. There was a black man that was in the Olympics. He did this, he did that, and that gave him some flack. And then there was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was socially conscious. He was a basketball player, and the thing was, he even saw what was going on in the United States, and he still spoke up about it. And one notable example that did the very same thing was Muhammad Ali, and may he rest in peace. Because Muhammad Ali did the same thing as well. He did not want to go over to Vietnam and fight. And people called him a drive dodger. People called him unpatriotic. People called him, just basically the most non-American man on the planet Earth. All because he chose not to go, to Vietnam and fight. And not only that, he was practicing, Islam. Well, he was part of the Nation of Islam, but he was a Muslim. So fighting a war which is not even necessary, which is not even his own or even necessary, it's out of the question. So he was just like, no, I'm not gonna fight. He said, I ain't no draft dodger. I ain't afraid. If I want to fight, I'll fight here. You're my oppressor when I want freedom. You're my oppressor when I want justice. You're my oppressor. So if I want to fight, I'll fight here. And that's Muhammad Ali right there. So you can see that really what Colin Kaepernick is going through shows that America has not really changed. And it's not just the NFL. Major League Baseball, National Basketball, the National Basketball Association, or the NBA, probably the NHL, the National Hockey League. Why do you think you rarely see any black players playing hockey? Yeah, but if you really think about it, what Colin Kaepernick is doing, I really do support. And it's just sad that, what's going on, especially with the president, just, basically the American people. Like, the American people hate Donald Trump, but yet, oddly enough, when I mean oddly, I put oddly in quotations because if you're black in America, you obviously know what the hell is going on. And you see that it's really nothing new. And the way they're acting, it's just like, really? We thought y'all grew a conscience. We thought y'all actually said, hey, look, he's protesting because he's dealing with a topic. A topic that everybody should just be like, no, police brutality is not right. We should do something about it. Or revoke the cops' badges. Or, dock their pay. And other than that's what we should do. But no, people booed him. People looked at him and said, wait a minute. What is this black man right here doing? What is this black man right here thinking he's doing? Why is he on his knee when he's supposed to put his hand over his heart and give his allegiance to a flag and to an anthem that basically never gave a damn about black people? That's the thing you should really worry about. And before any fucker or any fool going to try to talk about and say, what you trying to do? You trying to cause a race war or something like that? I'm like, by America ignoring race, just like it ignores everything else, it basically made the problem even worse. So I'm going to do my part and talk about it. Now, there were some people that talked about Donald Trump being a white supremacist, and I'm like, well, that's like calling water wet. There was Jamila Hill. I do agree with her. Donald Trump is a white supremacist, and she got bashed for it. Then Miss Texas said the same thing too. She got praised for it. I agree with both women. Okay, one black, one white. One is Miss Texas. The other one is ESPN spokesperson or something. I don't even know. But overall, the message, the way they spoke, the way they are, I do agree with them. The way they just said, look, Donald Trump is a white supremacist, and the fact that they both had enough courage to speak out on this topic shows that, hey, they do think, and they have the right of freedom of speech. And the fact that Donald Trump, this moron, this idiot right here, is going to be like, you know what? Those are some very fine people right there. We have to do this. We have to make sure that these fine people, in reference to white supremacists, white nationalists, should be protected. Like, man, fuck them. You could burn them with a Molotov cocktail for all I care. Because the fact that one white nationalist managed to run over a crowd and killed somebody, and you call them fine people. But let one black man take a knee, he's looked at as a criminal. Man, please. And then now, like black people all over the United States are taking a knee, or by not turning on the TV, to see, the National Football League, the NFL. Because for me, I was never really much of a sports person. I never really watched, football, basketball. I was more of a soccer kind of guy. I'd rather play it than watch it. But now you got NFL owners, not coaches, not, people who actually lead the teams or who created the teams. They call them owners. They saying, oh, those are some good, fine people. They're kneeling. They're just doing their thing. They're just making sure they're partaking in the protest. They try to act like they're down with the protest, but really they're not. They're not with the protest because you know why? Because if every single black person were to do that exact same thing, guess what? They'll be pissed. But instead of being pissed, they'll try to sneak their way into the dynamic and try to say like, oh, we're with you too. You know, yeah, you can see us on TV. Just turn on to the NFL. You can see us. We're kneeling too. And you got some turncoats, some coons. Ray Lewis, some others who didn't even want to take a knee before now want to take a knee. You even got, youth football players taking a knee. And let me tell you something. Like I mentioned before on my take of revolution, revolution should not be a trend. It should be a way of life, and it should be, not only evolution, but it should be towards a path. Now, what they are doing, they are creating a path. Ray Lewis, I think he's just following a trend. Or maybe he did awaken. Maybe he did wake up to the truth and say, you know what, man? What was I thinking? I have to do the right thing. But I agree with the NFL protest, but the thing is, it should not stop at one night. It shouldn't. It should keep on going. And it should keep on continuing until they get the message that, hey, if you don't care about our lives, then obviously you don't care about our money. You don't care about our entertainment. You just don't care. And one thing I will say, even though Muhammad Ali is gone, even though our leaders are physically not with us, even if, and may Dick Gregory rest in peace, because they were there. Mr. Ozzie Davis, Miss Ruby D, they were there in the forefront. They were there when the civil rights movement was going on. They were there when they saw what was happening. And the thing is, they still haven't given up the fight. Just because they're going, we shouldn't give up too. And now, I'm going to keep it real with you. There's no shame in being afraid, Really, there is no shame. In fact, if you admit that you are afraid, that makes you more likely to prepare for your fear than you to be defeated by it. Than somebody who admits that they have no fear whatsoever and just ignore the fear itself. So by you standing up and saying, hey, look, I am afraid, but my fear should not cloud my judgment or my morals, and I should stand up and do the right thing. Now, that is beautiful. And that's what Colin Kaepernick did. Okay, he did fear for his life. But at the same time, his morals and his convictions, and not only that, his money too, stuck with him. And not only that, people were afraid that, oh man, we're going to lose money. That's what NFL owners are afraid of. They're afraid of losing money. And if you think about it, this NFL protest, it's not only about race, but it's also about capitalism. When you see capitalists trying to convert, quote unquote convert because they seen the light, they're doing it just so they can get more money. They're doing it just so they can look much more wholesome, even though they're not. But here's another thing too. The thing about, what's going on with the NFL, it shows that nothing's really changed in America. And the thing that really makes me not angry, but just like, wow, man, just like, wow, this is something else. It's just the fact that, like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that there are people who would salute white nationalists, but yet they will boo a black man who's actually talking about an actual issue that's been going on not even years, not even decades, for centuries. Matter of fact, for like a century or 2 centuries in America. So you mean to tell me that they are willing to look? See, basically, it's just like what's going on with, now, some of y'all may not see the parallels between this and what's going on with, like, Emmett Till. And I'm not talking about Colin Kaepernick being killed, but the fact that I remember reading something somewhere before that it was complacency that made racism spread. Basically, there were white people in the South that was against Emmett Till being killed, but the thing is, they just didn't want to say anything. See, there are some people who look at this. You know what? There are white people who do agree with Colin Kaepernick, just like there are black people who don't agree with him. Okay. But the thing is, and this is the saddest part too, when you are complacent on an issue, it's not going to go away. It's just going to spread. And people are just going to get bolder and bolder and bolder and bolder until they just say, you know what, man? Peep this. I'm just going to attack you. And what you going to do? The law's right behind me. People are not going to look. As a matter of fact, people don't even really care. So what are you going to do? But this NFL protest basically brought the problem to the forefront. And this is breaking people's complacency, not peace. There's a difference between peace and complacency. See, when you're at peace, you know you're doing right. When you're complacent, you know something's not right, but you just choose to ignore it. Now, check this out. When Colin Kaepernick did that, and love the man for doing this, you know, he's like this generation's Muhammad Ali. Maybe not with boxing, but with football. And man, just gotta say this. He stood up for something right. And he broke the complacency that was over America. And the fact that Donald Trump basically represents America with the mask off. Now now it's starting to really show like who's against white supremacy and who's for it. And here's the funny thing: if you're for white supremacy or a white supremacist, guess what? You might be part capitalist too. And you may say, how do supremacy and capitalism go together? Well, think about it like this. During slavery, they need some way to make the people think like, hey, this certain group of people, they are not human. But for them not to look as human, they also make us money. There you go. Now think about it like this. Now draw parallel. Some people drew like parallels, even though it's a bit of a stretch. They drew parallels to, you know, slavery to the NFL. Saying like, basically, they select like the biggest, baddest. Well, not baddest, because you do need an education. You need some sort of education to go into the NFL. You can't be a dumb idiot just tackling people. You gotta understand strategy. You gotta understand who to tackle and who not to tackle, and you need to understand basic coordination. But they select the biggest, the strongest, and they select who can get the most hype in the situation, but also at the same time, who's the most strategic in the situation. But they also require them to stay silent on issues. And if some of y'all watch The Great Debaters, y'all will know this line. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak. That's how complacency gets people. And if you really think about it, that's how America really thinks. And this NFL protest is bigger than Colin Kaepernick just disrespecting the national anthem, even though America disrespects its veterans, disrespect the disabled veterans, and basically disrespect the very same people who were disenfranchised in the first place. But it's more about police brutality, it's more about inequality, and it's about basically what's wrong with America. That's what it's about. Yet at the same time, people don't see that. And not only that, the people who booed Colin Kaepernick, they should also boo the white supremacists who killed that young white woman who protested. And she got ran over by a car. And that idiot Donald Trump, he basically had white supremacist votes in order for him to win. So if he speaks out against them, and it's sad because there were some articles that talked about, oh, if Donald Trump ever gets impeached, we're going to start an uprising. Oh, if Donald Trump ever goes against us, we're going to cause some trouble. He stirred up the bee's nest, and he may have gotten the honey, but as soon as the bees get back and realize, oh, they've been double-crossed, that's not going to be pretty. It really isn't. And not only that, it's also really sad, too, because it shows that race, along with everything else, is still a prevalent issue in America. And some people may say, I don't see race, I have white friends. Can I tell you something? You cannot, okay, you can have gay friends and still be homophobic. I hope you know that. You say like, oh, I can't be racist, I have black friends or token friends. See, when you say I'm not a certain group because I have this, you basically don't have friends, you have tokens. And the crazy part is the fact that, hey, that's how America thinks nowadays. And if you want me to keep it real, this is nothing new. And to Colin Kaepernick and to the rest of the football players who are taking a knee during this protest, and Jay-Z, I know I talked a lot about him, but gave my views on him. The fact that he said, I'm not doing an NFL show. I'm not doing anything for the NFL. No, he's not singing at the NFL. That's what he simply said. And he just said, fuck Trump and fuck the NFL. I give you props. And for any other celebrity that's doing this, or any other person that's participating in this, who actually realize what's going on, I support you. And tell them that I told you to tell them that you are doing the right thing and you are great. Okay? So in conclusion, what's going on? It's nothing new. Keep up the good fight. Keep on doing the right thing. Keep on peacefully protesting. But also learn how to defend yourself. And not only that, Colin Kaepernick, you have my respect. And as Jesse Ventura once said, I salute Colin Kaepernick. And he also says, governments should not mandate patriotism. Governments should earn patriotism. And with that, YouTube, that's all I have to say. In the words of Jesse Ventura, governments should not mandate patriotism. Governments earn patriotism. This is Bro Man Clash. I want to have one. Hope you have a good night tonight. Later.